Okay. So here's what thank you for those 20 odd people who did journal. Um, I wasn't sure what I was letting myself into when I decided to take a large batch, but I find that not only is it energizing for me to be here for 2 hours with you, 2+ hours with you, and be energized by that for the week, but you keep my energy going by the journaling that you're doing. Honestly, I I had no idea screen stuff could be so educational. And I know that we are trying harder here and having more fun. We're trying to enrich it even more for you. So here's what I'm noticing in the context of especially challenge by choice. Okay, let me just give you a general picture of what the journaling was before I take on a particular issue. I think a lot of us have been affected by the principles of invitational education. Primarily, I think because they're so simple, and many of you have described how it takes the pressure off you. And I think that is the intention of the whole thing, that we stop trying to change the world and we get on with what we are supposed to be doing, which is paying more attention to what we do and how we do it. Challenge by choice, I think, can be understood in many different ways. And a couple of ways that it can be misunderstood is that that my job as the educator is to create choices, and then even if they say no, that's okay, and yes, that's true. But here's what is unspoken: that when somebody chooses not to do something, it does not mean that they can sit in a corner and do their own thing or go out and play ball. What it means is this. It means this to the educator, that we still have the responsibility. Do you want to move this? Yeah, okay. We're just going to move this so I can see my eyes. Yeah. Okay.
Better?
Better? Okay. My head's being that's much better. Okay. So that when we present challenge by choice to our audiences, what we're also saying is that it doesn't mean you can go out and play ball or you can do whatever you like. We need to be able to have a conversation about why it is, why you're choosing not to do something. So it does not absolve them of the responsibility of making that choice. They need to be able to explain their choice. Okay? And we need to be able to get into a place where we are able to ask those questions to them. The choice is respected, but there is a process to it. Okay, so that's one. The other is, one of the concerns was that if I offer choice, then people will start taking advantage. How many of you feel that way? That you have the freedom to participate means that they will take advantage of it. Okay, so here's my response. It might happen once, it might happen twice. And there are times, I know in my experience, it has happened more than that and continues to happen. But here's what I discovered. One was that what they were telling me was that I can't learn the way you are teaching. Okay? And therefore, I'm choosing to just sit back and use my natural style, which is observe. But if you want to engage me, then teach me the way I learn. And I think what that meant for me was I needed to take that responsibility of then discovering what style worked for that person through conversation. And you got to remember that most people don't know what their preferred style is. So we did the learning styles inventory and we discovered something about our own learning styles and our preferences. But the people who we're trying to educate, we may not have time to run an LSI with them. So we just have to observe, watch, and we've got to be playing all those styles and do all that. So a facilitator's or educator's job is multifaceted. Okay, so I have very rarely, in fact, never encountered a scenario in which somebody, as you described it, as some of you described it, but that people take advantage of that. Okay, it may happen once, twice, three times, even they get bored of that preference. And they will begin to choose other styles because everybody else is engaged and they find that they're now being alienated, so they join in. Okay? Cool. I think in Challenge by Choice, the biggest thing that we have to really pay attention to is that our self does not get in the way. And I'm just calling it ourselves because I don't like the word ego, like I don't like a lot of other words that I've talked about. But I think the point I'm making here is sometimes when we think that somebody is taking advantage of us, we in our heads we make it a power game, and we think that by letting go or allowing them the choices that or respecting their choices, that we've let go of our uh, preference. And that kind of shakes us up because how can a student do that to me? Make sense? And this is true in all conversations, not just classroom, but peers, parents, children, in all relationships, this whole thing about choice being played out. I myself, yesterday evening, had a very interesting encounter with this, and so there was this conflict going on around me, and I had to kind of disengage and say, where do I stand with? So I have my values, and I try and live by them. And then there's somebody else who's asking for something else. And for a moment, I mixed these two and I said, how can I let my values go? And suddenly something switched on in my head and said, what am I doing? I mean, how important are these values to me? What's the real value here? Is the value this relationship? Or is it that static thing that I'm trying to hold on to? And I was glad that I did not get into that place of conflict and anger and pain. I was able to gently accept what the outcome of that whole thing was. I mean, whether I should attend a puja, shouldn't attend, believe, don't believe, rituals, all that stuff. So can be very tricky. And I think we need to be really aware of ourselves. And that's where we are really taking this conversation today. There's somebody who very interestingly said, hey, you know what? After looking at, I'm going to start with the presentation and talk you through it as we go along.
You want to switch over this camera?
Okay, I'm switching places again. Ah. Oh God, you're going to see Diwali around me now. You see those horns? Are we on presentation mode? Okay, while we're doing this, anybody wants to say or ask anything?
Are those horns or a halo?
Ah, whatever it is, they're bright lights. So I guess make your own meaning from that. Okay, so quick.
Vikas,
Yes, please.
so when we talk about challenge by choice, I just had a thought. Um, it's extremely important for the facilitator to have trust in the people he's working with, right? I mean, I know it's very difficult, but how can one, eventually get to that stage where, know, um, because especially with children, it's very difficult to leave that decision on them. That
Why is that?
when I mean, I would not. I think I'm not framing the question correctly, but to what extent do you push them to do something in that scenario?
You don't push them, you invite them. It's not this, it's this.
Right. Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorted?
I think so. I'm going to give this more thought, then get back to you and pester you about it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so just a quick check-in. Anybody had any moments where you moved up, above and below the line?
I think for me, I was trying to relook at the video last night from the last session because I was very strongly feeling that I didn't, like there was a lot that happened in the last session and, there were lots of emotions, but I didn't really process it. Suddenly I had to go and like cook dinner and I was basically trying to cut an onion. And all of a sudden, I was like, I really feel like a pyaj right now in this course. Like, I really feel like an onion because with every session, I feel that there are more layers getting added. And, I'm not like, I'm not engaging with all the layers at the same time. So it's not that I engage with one session and then I come for the next one. So I think just that feeling of lots of layers and some things coming from somewhere like little things. So yeah, I think my feeling that I'm coming in with is I feel like a pyaj. For me, it is below the line because I think more than anything else, I think I'm nervous that now there's going to be more and there's going to be more layers. And so yeah, that's where I am right now.
So-
Because I also have another point. Yeah, you can go ahead.
So this is interesting that the analogy you use of an onion. So normally people talk about peeling the onion, right? Peeling the layers off. I'm hearing you say that these layers are being added.
I actually tried to Google how does an onion grow, like after thinking about it, that, how does one layer come after the other? But I think that's where I am. I think it's growing.
Okay. And For you, that was below the line. It was disturbing. Overwhelming.
Yeah, I think overwhelming is the word, and not disturbing so much, but
Okay. Would you be
overwhelming.
upset? Overwhelming. Okay. Would you be upset if I said I've already done my job with you then?
I don't know how I will react to it. I'll have to think about, like, what did you mean by saying that, which I have to do with every statement you make. Every time you're responding to a question I ask. So I have to think about why you said that, and then I'll come back to you.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Avichal.
Yeah. So I tried to practice invitational learning, what we learned last time as well, and I did that today. Like I was taking the session in the morning, in the afternoon today, and it was a bit technical. It was about coding and everything, and it's with young kids. It's like 8, 9 years old kids. And suddenly they come up and like, sir, we do not want to do this. We just want to play a game. And at that point of time, I was stuck. I was like, I have a curriculum to finish, but I've been given a curriculum by someone. I have to finish that, but how do I go about it? I just I don't know what happened, but I just gave them like, okay, let's play a game. But will you be okay if after playing the game we come back to this thing and also learn a couple of things? And there were two students, and both of them were like, yeah, but we want to play a game and we want to add on to it. And it's like initially I used to be like, but we have something to complete. But suddenly just inviting them the option, it just came across like that. Okay, we want to do this, but we love playing games as well, and we want to talk about random stuffed toys, but we also want to talk about and maybe we learn. And they actually performed better than the last few classes that I've been engaged with them. So that was actually a great thing. So for me, it was an above the line. It was openness, and I was coming from that perspective. So it really came across like that.
Nice. Just be careful about the conditional stuff. So, okay, let's play a game, but.
And why would you say that?
Okay,
Like,
can we role play this? Okay, so you're the kid, I'm you. Go ahead.
oh, but I want to play a game today. Like, I don't like, we do all of this in science and all of this is boring, and I would really want to play a game. I love games.
Okay, and what are you here for?
Uh, my mom put me on this thing. It's about coding and understanding about coding and all of that, but I'm more interested in games as such.
Okay, does coding interest you at all?
It does, it does, but
Okay,
what you're talking about, flowcharts and everything
oh,
is boring.
okay, cool. So the parts of it that you say are boring.
Yeah.
Nice. And you want to play a game right now?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what shall we do?
I don't know. I just want to play a game right now.
Okay, but I'm asking you, and then
Then we'll see. Then maybe okay. Okay, now I get what you're coming. Where are you coming from? Yeah.
and the trick is this: I'm not, and then does not necessarily mean I'm trying to take it back to coding. It does mean that I'm getting them to reflect on, okay, you know what? A point comes when, and I might not say it, they will say it, that a point comes when they say even that game gets boring, and then
And then. So then maybe we want to do something else, but want to come back to it. The option is still on them.
option is theirs, and at some point in time, they begin to recognize that some of these things are cyclic. That there's nothing wrong with coding and there's nothing wrong with gaming, that they have their place, and in some ways they're connected.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So you're not moving from your stance, but you certainly think about moving away from the anxiety of finishing something. That anxiety, I'm telling you, is a killer. And there is absolutely, no value in trying to get in finishing your content with a group or a person if they are not present. Just a thought, but you can decide which game you want to play.
I
Whether,
have another question which I've always been pondering about. It might come across for other people also. That whenever we come from this perspective, I do understand about this.
Ooh.
I do understand whenever we come from this perspective that
Who's
I do.
we? Oh, hold on, Avichar. Who's we?
We as facilitators, and specifically one more
Are
thing.
you telling me? Are you telling me your truth?
Sorry, I couldn't get that voice
Are you,
broke.
are you telling me your truth?
Yes.
Then why? Then why are you saying we? Or is
Okay.
this the larger we?
No. My truth. I come from this perspective that
Thank you.
I come from this perspective that certain times and I'm bound by certain responsibilities or my accountability to an organization that I'm associated with. And they expect me to do or behave in a specific way. So I am supposed to take the curriculum in XYZ ways and I got to do this. I can bring in my elements of being a facilitator, but certain times when I feel that maybe the class isn't going as well and maybe we need to take a break. But because I'm accountable to the organization who are paying me for that, I get stuck. And I get stuck and I get pulled from both the sides. So how do you mitigate that and how do you actually maneuver around that kind of a situation?
Ray, this is a question to the rest of you. Raise your hand if that's true for you.
That's why I said we.
Right, so let's check. So raise your hand if it's true for you. Okay, lots of hands going up there. So here's my quick and dirty response. Okay, I have something called a quick and dirty response because this is sounds like a long chat, but we don't have the. You see, I'm playing the same game right now. I'm pressured to finish content. You're asking me these crazy questions. Which game shall I play? So here's my quick and dirty one. This is what I would do. I will do what I think is real and true for me in that moment. Okay? I will also get into conversations with the people who are trying to control this whole content delivery piece and say that let's look at content. Can you see my hands? Can you see my hands? You can't, right? Right. So that's life. That's the content. It's way beyond the current moment. It starts and it begins. It starts at what you call the beginning of the year and ends at the end of the year. And content can be covered by anybody. You don't need to be there to cover content. You think I need to be here to cover content? All I need to do is to put those articles into the folder. You read it. That's content. But if we want to make it meaningful, and that's the key word, okay? That learning comes from seeing meaning of that content in my life. The other word we use is context. That when I find meaning in what you are doing and saying in my life, then I learn something from it. So kind of when I was teaching for that 1 year, I don't know if I told you this, but I said 4 months, don't ask me about content. It will be covered and it will be tested, but don't ask me about it. And the simple reason is that I'm going to use those 4 months to build community. And do you think I knew what I was talking about? Hell no. I knew that community building was harder, but also more relevant to the learning process. Content anybody can pick up. Yeah. So my suggestion is, and this is it's still quick and dirty, sometimes you have to get sacked for it. Sorry. But, you know, I've been sacked a couple of times. Some of them sacked me, some of them gently said, you know, leave, thanks so much, wonderful, but our time is over. And I learned a huge lesson from that. What I learned is this, that when I do something because it's real for me as the educator, I touch the lives of children in a way that is unbelievable. I mean, kids who have come in contact with teaching them history or geography or biology or whatever it was when they were in the 6th grade are now mothers and fathers. And they will find me on Facebook and say, I still remember that one year. And that's not because, I mean, obviously it's not because I taught them history. Something different was happening, that community was being built. And I think this is a hard choice that we have to make. And this is a shout out to all of you. At some point in time, you've got to make that choice. And here's the most beautiful thing. When you can make that choice clearly about your own life, because that's what it is about. It's not about content and context and all that. It's about your life. When you can make that choice about your life, you know that person who's looking over your shoulder, they've also gone through that same phase, and more than likely they will support you through it. It's amazing how just your willingness to take that risk of adventuring can also touch the life of that person, because they said, I always wanted to do it, I didn't find the courage. So don't waste your time trying to balance what somebody else is telling you and what your personal experience is. Don't waste your time. Get on with it. Again, that question, why am I doing what I'm doing? And if the answer for you is I'm doing a job, then let it go. Do it according to whatever else or whoever else wants it. But if your answer is I want to be an educator, then go out there and do your thing. And it's okay if you bump your head and bumble along, that's fine. Okay, that wasn't so quick, right? Was it? Okay, great. Let's move on.
Josh, there's something burning in me before we move on.
Okay, Natalia.
There is confusion for the 3rd week in a row. For some reason, when I thought that I'm enrolling for the course in experiential education, it would be experiential. And I feel it like there is so much rush in so much content that we're rushing through it without actually experiencing. And it was such a sweet role play that I just witnessed. And I really enjoyed it. And I wonder how it can be incorporated in our course, this course, to have some experience of what we're going through.
Say that again.
I wonder if it can be incorporated, some experience in this course of what we're learning, of what you're teaching theoretically. Because I can see a lot of slides, I can hear a lot of words, but there is not awful lot of experience, and that doesn't sit comfortably with me.
Okay, so today we will give you an experience. And let's see if it works for you. Okay, so
thank you.
This is that, in Hindi, Sanskrit, whatever, there is this word called dharam sankat. Okay? I'm not talking of God, okay? If religion, I religiously believe that what's really lacking in this field of experiential ed is the theoretical perspective. Okay? All the courses that I've done, I have amply warned people saying, I'm not here to teach you activities. So I may have failed in a certain way in this format to give you enough experiences. I will try and enrich it starting today. But I just want to repeat that if you want experiences, I can point you to a lot of places. If you want to learn the activities to run online sessions, I can point you to a lot of people who are doing a fabulous job. Maybe we'll extend this by one session at some point in time, and I will run just or create just experiences and activities for you. But at this point in time, we've got certain experience of our lives, and I'm going to ask you to reach back into that for finding the truth of the principles that we are talking about. Does that make sense, Natalia? For now? For now?
It does and it doesn't at the same time.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
what we're learning is that I would incorporate better this information if I have an experience of it. So if I don't have an experience of it,
you have how many years experience do you have?
30, I guess.
Wonderful. You've got 30 years of experience. Do you think I can match that through what I do? I can play a game. I want to differentiate between a game or an activity and an experience. Okay? What I can do is run a game. And there's a limit to how powerful I can make that experience for you. And well, day before yesterday, in the other class, I told them a story about methodology, in my opinion, at its peak. That what is the most powerful thing we can do as educators? How can we create such a powerful experience that the learning happens experience and is not left to chance, because you may not be there as the facilitator, but you incorporate everything into the sequence of things that happen in the experience. Okay, now here's the thing. When you talk of an experience, it's usually the act of somebody doing something. Would you say that's true? Okay, and then that triggers the feelings and triggers the thinking and all that. But it's still coming from the outside. And I think, thank you for helping me clarify to myself as well as I'm talking to you about it, that I think what I'm trying to do here is to say, hey folks, you know what? You've got years of experience. You just have not sat back and taken a good look at it. Every principle that we've discussed has had an opportunity to arrive in your life in some form or the other. You didn't know this then. Now I'm saying, just check back and think about, okay, can I really process an experience that I had some time ago? And will I come up with something new? And in that moment, if you are able to do that, in that moment, you would have created an experience for yourself. You don't really need me at one point in time. But here's what I'm going to go with. I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to try and make it as meaningful as possible today. I will do that. I will try and create that experience, and I will seek your support in trying to make it as powerful as possible for you. Okay? Yeah? Till then, the overwhelmingness continues. I am willing to reduce the content. Please know this. But I do hope that you will engage from that personal experience point of view. Okay? Thank you, Natalia. Right. So, you see, this, if I had a choice, this dialogue would be a wonderful way to learn a hell of a lot. So I'm going to now switch to transferring content to you. And today is that one of the journalists said, hey, you know what, when you did the Colin Beard's thing, and I think that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. Yeah? Yeah, okay. It's very, very clear to me, that's what they said, very clear to me about how I have no control over what happens to people. But what I'm also seeing is that who the facilitator is, who that educator is, who that person is walking into that space of learning is probably the bigger piece in this entire game. And it just kind of reached to me and I said, yeah, okay, hold on. We're covering it in the next session. So today what we're going to be looking at is the world of the facilitator. Okay? And this is what I want to do with you now. I'm going to send you a URL. Did we do the feedback thing? Okay. I want you to put words that come to mind. And the question is, how are you feeling right now? Beautiful, no? The way it changes shape as it builds. Okay, give it another 10 seconds and I hope it will stop and then let's look at it. Okay. Not okay. It seems it's still moving. How many got? 21, 22. Okay, only 22 people have responded so far, so we're just going to wait. How many people do we have? Okay, so here is, as an educator, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, wow, what am I seeing here? Curious. So obviously a lot of groaning going on. Okay, and let's just look at the groaning piece. a heavy, disengaged, stretched. So overwhelmed, is that panic? I don't know yet. So I can be overwhelmed, but not in panic zone. It's like, okay, it's going on, but I don't know how to take this, but I'm not in a panic zone yet. So clueless. There's a whole bunch of grown areas, and some of us are definitely below the line. Okay? Now, when I look at this, how does it affect me as the educator? I'm saying this is not going to help. Okay? So, I'm going to slow it down. And if I don't have to today, that's fine. I'm not sure at this point in time whether you are overwhelmed by the last 3 sessions or you're already overwhelmed with what has happened or not happened till now. If you're willing to tell me, give me an answer to that question. Overwhelmed, stretched is fine. Waiting for it to materialize, clueless. So if you're willing, without putting names to anybody, this is what my question is. Those of you who are feeling clueless, who are feeling overwhelmed, who are feeling unsettled is also fine. Exhausted, blah. Okay. Are you willing to share that with me? Because then I can show you how I'll modify this.
Vishwas,
Yes, Sheila. Yeah.
I did have a few below the lines, but they are not pertaining to, because I contributed, but they're not regarding the program. It's just where I am today.
Okay. So in that sense, part of your life is below the line, but in the context of this class, you're okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I think one thing that I would want to say is I am feeling overwhelmed, but I'm not sure if it is to do with, say, the amount of content, because I think that's something I'm really loving at how packed it is with content. I think I am overwhelmed because I'm trying to figure how I am learning, and it's very different from how I thought I generally learn. So I think that is what is more overwhelming, just how I'm engaging with myself in this whole thing, which is really exciting as well, but it's overwhelming. So that's where I am.
Great. I usually describe that as the effect of the hammer on the nail. So play with it. Anybody else? Otherwise, I look at that and I say, we're ready to go. Let's get on with it, because everything else is, in my opinion, a wonderful place. Okay? So I'm just going to use that as a cue and move on. Okay? Okay. This is us. What does that mean? Oops. If you ask somebody, what are you made of? The immediate answer is, I've got a brain, I've got a heart, I've got a stomach, I've got kidneys, I've got flesh, I've got blood, I've got, circulatory system, whatever. That's one way of looking at it. But we are also made up of a lot of other things. We've lived a certain, when that question was thrown at Natalia, I said, how many years of experience do you have? And interestingly, she said something. Now, I don't know whether she meant years experience at work or life. Now, this is the interesting piece. I've often gone into an adult training program and asked that question, and they will start, they will usually give me years of experience at work. I say, wow, what was happening before that? Now, let's just do some, let's just play a number game, okay? I believe there are 40 of us here today. Just take an average age of maybe, don't kill me, okay? 35, because I know we've got 20-year-olds and we've got 50-year-olds, okay? 35. 35 into 40, somebody do the math. 140, right? Sorry, 1400. 1400 years of experience on this damn screen, pardon the expletives. That's who we are collectively. And the beautiful piece is this, and this is what always shakes me up. 1,400 years of unique experience, not one moment that you have had and I have had and anybody else has had in this group can be said to be similar or same. They may be similar, but not same. So there's a lot of wisdom already here. Okay? The question is, how do we bring these 1,400 years of experience into play when we gather in what we call a community? One way to look at it is, my God, 1,400 years of unique experience, so confusing. Another way is to say 1,400 years of richness. Great, I'm going to move on from there. So what we are made up of is this. Oops. Pressing the wrong key. If you have any words to add to this already full human being, let me know. We'll add it. Okay.
Attitudes.
Okay, attitudes. We'll put that in at some point in time in the next show.
Needs.
Beliefs, choices.
Choices. Okay.
Values.
Yeah, but sorry.
Values.
Values. Okay. Judgments, biases. Kind of in that same plane, yeah? Okay, great. Now, this is what we call, so 1,400 years of conditioning sitting in this room. Okay? Now, as human beings, as people, this conditioning is constantly showing up. Would you say that's true? That anything that that when life encounters us, the interesting piece is we encounter it from this. We encounter it from our past. Which means that anything that happens in the brain, in my response to a new situation in life, is bouncing around in what you might want to call the known, or that box of the past. And a response that often comes is, and I'm going to call it a reaction at this point in time, when we react to a new scenario in our lives, it comes from this place. So theoretically, there's nothing new. Okay, which means that almost every scenario in our lives from moment to moment is being responded from the past. And this is how I'm going to describe it. And it shows up in our behavior. If you don't get it, stop me. I will pause. We need to understand this.
Can you repeat that again once?
Yeah. Every new thing that we encounter, we, from the outside, we are responding to from our past. So theoretically, nothing new is happening to us. Okay? And that therefore, what the world sees is therefore our conditioning leaking into our behavior, which I'm going to call our conduct. Are you still with me? God, I see. The screen hasn't frozen. I'm seeing a lot of reflective faces. Okay, I'm going to move on. So when, I got to tell you where this came from. Colin Beard and me, he invited me to do a work in Singapore. And he said, look, you understand the East. Those guys want a workshop on, what was it? Professionalism. And professionalism for me is a word like maturity. I don't like that word at all. And I said, so I went to some books, I went to Google, I did all that, and I came back and I said, damn, I don't understand a word about professionalism. What am I going to do? So I started digging into my own brain and I said, what does professionalism mean to me? And I built a word cloud. And I built a map, a word map, and it kind of grew and grew and grew. And then I began to see that these pieces that I was writing there were actually 3 different elements. So I called up these guys in Singapore and I said, hey, what do you mean by professionalism? Now, this was for an organization called Outward Bound. They're in the outdoor business. They take children out and they've got a very high safety standard. Instructors have to be a particular type. And they said professionalism for us means how they conduct themselves in front of groups. Okay? Behavior. Professionalism is behavior. Am I wearing a coat and a tie? Am I wearing a celebratory kurta? Am I wearing jeans and a t-shirt? How am I presenting myself to my audience? And a lot of people, that's what this word means to them. And I said, wow, but is that it? Because you didn't call an experiential educator to run a course on etiquette or how to carry yourself and how to wear a tie or how to wear a harness. In their world, it's, outdoor skills. I said, surely it wasn't that. So what? So I said, okay, I'm going to give it my own twist. And this is what emerged for me. I said, everything that they are, each instructor or every one of us in this classroom, when we deal with the world, most of the time we are dealing with the world from our conditioning. Okay? And then it emerges in the context of that place and we see it as conduct. So if you ask somebody, how does so-and-so conduct themselves? And you say, oh, he's very polite, he waits to be spoken to, or he's noisy, or he talks a lot of trash, whatever. And what people are really relating to is what they've encountered that person's conduct to be. Is this clear so far? Okay. So there's obviously a relationship between my conditioning and how I conduct myself with my groups, with my students, with my children, with my parents, with everybody in my life. Yeah? So the thing is this. If we are not aware of this conditioning of our past leaking into our behavior or our conduct, then our reactions, our response, or whatever you want to call it, in that moment are usually inappropriate and unprofessional. And for an organization, it's definitely a no-no because they want all the instructors to carry out the same instructions in the same way, be the same people, so on and so forth. Okay, so far? Great. So how do we change this? And I think there's a need to change it because what it meant to me was that every classroom I walk into, I'm the same damn person. But the truth is that life has happened to me in between today and last week. And am I going to conduct myself the same way? How is that possible? So then what's this relationship? Surely there's something else involved in this. And this is what, so I said, I possibly can't be the same person that I was last week because life has happened to me. I have felt things, I have thought things, I have done things. My life's been affected, the person has been affected. And that is real. And I'm going to try and show my real self up as real as possible when I'm in front of my audience. So what does that mean? For me, it meant that in that moment when I switch on that camera and I'm here and you are there, I need to be really intensely aware. And this membrane, that purple line that you see, that membrane separates my past from this current, present, real moment with you, this here and now. And if that membrane, that purple membrane is thin, my past is going to leak out and you're going to see the same guy over and over again and damn, you should be bored. I said, wow. Which means that if I want to engage my class truly, myself today, affected by what's happened, has to show itself up. Okay, are you with me so far? Now, and I think to do that, I have to kind of slow down this process inside. And I have to take some time and ask myself before I walk into that classroom. I shared with you that moment, my first teaching job, when that door separated. It was like a switch. Did I tell you about this? No? No? Okay. My first teaching job. I'm outside the classroom. And then there's the door. And the children are sitting there inside the classroom. And it was almost as though I took a pause, put a switch on, and then walked in. And walked in means what? That this person was different from this person. I'm your friend outside the classroom. I'm your teacher in the classroom. I don't care if you don't listen to me. You better listen to me because if you make too much noise, the other teachers will complain. And it got me crazy for a while. And I said, oh, this is terrible. I can't do this. On a daily basis, And if you are running if you're going from classroom to classroom, 40-minute periods in a day, damn, I'm switching on and off that machine as many times. And then I walk into the staff room and I'm putting another switch on. It was crazy. Said, no, doesn't work for me. So this is what I decided to do. Said, I want to show my, whatever that is, that true self. Wherever I go, I can't, it's too much conflict for me. So I decided that what I was going to do is look at that membrane. I said, what is that membrane? What is it that will allow me to be here and now in the classroom? Not the image of me as a teacher in this space, but me in the real here and now. Because I found doing this. I don't want to scream at children, but I found myself being such an idiot. And it was, maybe my teachers screamed at me. Actually, many of them did, most of them didn't. But I'm saying, somebody, where did I pick that up from? I had no idea where I picked that up from. So I said, hey, dude, pause. Stop. What's up with you? Slow it down. And it occurred to me that in order for me to separate myself in some way and bring this person who is here and now sitting in this chair alive, I need to think about where I am. I need to think about whom I'm talking to. I need to think about all those things that we put only, somebody tells me you have to go into the 6th grade classroom. And then I create an image of 6th grade madness and I walk in there and I behave as mad as them. And then I step out and then I say 9th grade, I have to go and teach. Oh, they're a little older, we behave a little older, you'll be better off because they're older. Whatever, madness. Okay? I need to be really conscious of some of these things. And then in that beautiful moment when we were discussing this as to how do we present this, I realized that this person who was going to walk into this classroom and sits here now, everything I say is one way. Once I've said it, there is no control Z. I can't take it back. It has done whatever it was supposed to do to you. I can't use bad language and then say, look, you know what, I'm sorry, just delete that from your memory. No way. So, Khalil Gibran's poetry came to mind. And he's put it really beautifully. So, he talks about this arrow, the archer and the bow and the arrow. And he says, okay, here it is. Any quick thoughts on this?
Not just looking at children, but I think at every part in every relationship that I am with, whether it is about with my parents, with my partner, with my friends, I think it's applicable everywhere.
True. True. So, as educators, what's the context? As educators, we've got to remember that once we've said something, that arrow's gone. Even words are like that. They're unidirectional. I can't hope that some strange phenomenon of a breeze will come and take the words away. Okay, so it became really important for me at that point in time to look at this purple area and say, God, there's something I can do. My past need not always constantly appear in my present. Maybe I have a choice somewhere in between there. And that choice that I'm making in the present is what I'm going to choose to call expand that purple, expand that balloon, if you want to call it, kind of build an aura around yourself of consciousness. That I want to be conscious about what I'm saying, what I'm doing, how I'm saying it, how I'm, everything. Another way of putting it is thinking in action. So the act is going on, and I'm constantly aware of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. You see, too often as educators, as people in relationships, we separate ourselves from this piece and we want to show up the same every day. But life is happening to us in between. How do we respect that? How do we bring that alive in our own lives? Because otherwise, what the students are also seeing is the same teacher walking in every day. Think of your teachers. Were they the same every day or were they different? Now I'll tell you why it's so important for us as experiential educators. The difference in some ways between the traditional teacher and the experiential educator is that we use the tricks of our trade to create experiences for our students in the moment. We throw an activity at them, we throw a ball at them and say, okay, play with it and let's see what you can do with it. Simple acts. Now, if I'm watching and I'm sure you know this, that the children who are sitting on that bench day in, day out are different from the children that you see if you throw a toy at them. At play, they're different. And so are you. And you will notice that. You see all these quiet, serious faces on the screen right now. Maybe what you should do is take a picture of this, because when you get into that next act of play, see what happens and then take pictures then. Something happens. And if that switch can happen like that by me just throwing a ball at you, imagine the number of metaphoric objects being thrown at you and you throwing at others in a day. Which means that everything that's happening is inviting you to change. Therefore, you must be different every time you walk into that same space, because life has happened to you. And if you are not, and if you only do what you can do, you will never be better than who you are. I'm just asking you to think of the tragedy of this learning space, the classroom, where I mean, I don't know, did your teachers change? Did you ever notice any change in them? Or did they present the same person from class 1 to class 12 or whatever?
I think that was. I think
Sorry, yeah.
I think my teacher, like I completed my school education not too long ago. I think some of my teachers knew their content so well that every day they would bring a new experience with them when they entered the class, right? Whereas the more younger teachers, if I have to say it that way, uh, try to look at it from a different approach, like the classes from a different approach, and connect more with us. But there were some teachers who were just like, they would come and take the class and leave. So there was a mix and match of all three.
Okay. Okay. Just asking you to think of this because next time you walk into any space, when you walk out of this room at the end of this class and you encounter people, please be a little conscious about who is showing up.
Can you elaborate on that question a little bit more?
Okay. So I'm going to read something for you and see if that makes sense to you, okay? Okay. The conditioned mind, we've talked about it, is a box of thoughts. Imagine a box, yeah? And I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing a lot of boxes. Aren't you seeing a lot of boxes? If you're seeing multiple, if you're seeing that whatever view it is, it's like 25 boxes there, right? Okay. To go beyond the conditioned mind, you must be willing to be wrong about a lot of thoughts that you insist are right. Does that make sense? Did that get you?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I
you're playing in
think
that same box, right?
Could you please repeat the statement once?
Yeah. The conditioned mind is a box of thoughts. To go beyond the conditioned mind, you must be willing to be wrong about a lot of thoughts that you insist are right. All conflict, internal and external, most often comes from the box that we are trapped in. Life must be like this. Okay, so here's another way of doing it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some scenarios at you, and I'm going to invite you to respond to it. Okay? Where is that? Okay. Now you can either raise your consciousness or you can decide whatever you want to do, you do. I'm going to throw this at you. You ready? You might want to put your mics on when you're ready to start, ready to respond. Now, some of us have children, some of us don't. Just substitute them with somebody else, okay? If you don't have a kid, your nephew, niece, some kid in school, whatever, some kid you know. That child eats a lot of ice cream. Quick, what are you thinking?
It's not healthy.
Ice cream.
Hey,
I didn't ask you to eat it. You need to see the child, not the ice cream.
more as a reflection.
Sorry?
A reflection of myself.
Oh, okay. Go on. Go on. Tell me more. What else? What are you thinking?
Bad for health.
Bad for health.
Child loves sweet.
Huh?
Child loves sweets.
Cold.
Stuffs.
Can you really see that?
He has a sweet tooth.
As a
I'm
sweet
thinking-
tooth, can you really see?
Too much ice
Tell me more beyond the sweet tooth.
Too much ice
Thinking
cream. Cold.
I'll catch cold.
Catch cold.
I want to eat that ice cream that the child is eating.
And
God, this is not about food. It's not about food, children. This is about the child. Okay.
Think
So
about the
here's the.
joy that the child must be feeling.
Okay. See, now you're giving it meaning. Watch what's going on. Next one. You have a child and that child wants a new toy every day.
They're spoiled.
Spoiled,
Yes.
No value.
no value.
Should learn toy making.
They will have problems later in life.
He doesn't know what to do with it.
Or he is
Doesn't know
bored.
what to do.
He's bored.
He's bored. Okay.
Lacking creativity.
Or he likes new things.
Right. Okay. You heard all that. Next one. Your brother. Imagine if you don't have one sister. Okay, whatever. Somebody close to you. Family. Your brother drinks alcohol regularly.
Should control himself.
Might be
Right, look
an
at you.
alcoholic.
You guys are suddenly quiet. What happened?
There's some sort of fixation.
Not good for health.
He might become an alcoholic.
Nice.
It's his
Next
choice.
one. You see where this is coming from. You see where this is coming from. This is your box of thoughts.
It's his choice.
It's his choice? Really? You let it go?
He needs to learn balance.
Oh, I know, balance. Where have you seen balance? Sorry, anyway.
There is some sort of fixation.
Fixation. Okay, got it. Next one. Your partner doesn't bathe for days together.
Oh God.
Oh God, there you go. See that box?
Oh dear.
Can you see that box?
Probably
Like-
working in the outdoors.
Don't go to probably this.
Maybe
Will you be calm?
environmentally cautious.
Is that your response?
Very lazy, probably.
I know, damn it. Blah, you dirty, whatever. Okay, so think of all the responses you've heard to the 4 or 5 situations. And that is classic box thinking. Okay? Let's try another one. You're a teacher. You step out of the classroom and you're taking all those children, you're walking them to the games field. sports field, whatever you call it. And you notice that the shoe laces are untied. What will you
I
do?
get scared that
What will
they
you
will
do?
trip over. I'll
I
tell
will
them to tie
ask
them.
him or her to tie it up. Sorry.
I will
Yes.
call the child and tie the lace.
Ask him to tie it or help him to tie it. Yes.
Probably ask him, why do you need to tie your laces?
We'll ask him only to tie it by himself.
And give reasoning for the fact that why there is a need to tie the lace.
And you sense the box.
I'll wait for him to realize that it's open. And if he doesn't realize it too soon, then I'll ask him
Wait for him to realize.
that it's open. Like,
Here's the brilliant thing, okay? Wait,
Oh, I know.
I know,
Maybe.
I know. Wait for him to realize, right? Here's what I encountered.
Maybe
We're gonna
Vishwas,
come
I would
back
step
to-
on that lace and see if he falls down and then tell him, oh, you know what, tie your lace now.
Okay, if I was that, who's that? Who's that?
That's
said
me,
that?
Gayatri. Gayatri.
Gayatri, I can't see you. Okay. Damn. You know what? This is a great time for us to have a role play.
Okay, go ahead. So
Ma'am, what
I'm
are you
looking
doing?
at two screens. Okay, I'll be looking here because that's my laptop. I
Don't
want to
worry
see you
about it.
big, but
Yeah.
my voice is connected to that. Okay, yes.
Yeah. So, ma'am, what are you doing?
Nothing. I am not doing anything.
You
Why do you
just
see
stepped
that
on
I'm
my
doing anything?
shoelace.
Oh, that was by mistake. You see, that's why you need to tie your laces.
See, that teacher came back. Your box is back.
I don't get it again.
Most of you believe shoelaces should be tied, no?
Yeah, because you'll fall down. That's a need.
Have you ever fallen down?
So many times. Ask me about it.
Great. So here's the beautiful thing. I was watching a video of Diego Maradona. I wish I could play it. And he's going through this practice. See if you can find it. He's going through this practice, okay? The audience is all over, stadium is full. This guy, he's doing his tricks, okay, with that football, and his laces are flying like wings. Not once did he fall.
That's some practice that, maybe I require as a teacher to not fall while walking.
Right. So here's the thing. We want to make our experience somebody else's without giving them an experience. Now, I'm not going to give you the solution because I'm going to bring this up for discussion when we do the reflection session.
I found it.
But I want, can you play it? Okay. Are you okay with a little entertainment here?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Vishwas, I did have a question by the time Chetan is setting it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Regardless of where we are coming from, what we say or what we think, any thought is like a box because it is coming from an experience or something else from my past. So no matter
Yes.
what I'm thinking or what I'm saying comes in a box. So
Yeah, damn it, that's so boring, man.
look, but I'm unable to see anything which is not coming from a box.
Good. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Yes, Natalia. Yes or no, Avichal?
Yeah, I'm confused.
There are things that are called observations and there are things that are called thoughts. So we can also see what we see without interpreting it. And then it's observation. And then it doesn't have to be in the box.
Right.
That's my understanding.
I completely agree with you. And here, thanks for bringing it up because I think the issue here is this, that can I stay in that place, see the laces, go through the struggle inside, and just hold that tie your shoelaces instruction. And that is what I'm calling that moment when I choose to take that pause and I say, whew, hold on, my box is playing out. Shh. Slide that box aside and say, what is real here and now? We will come to it. Okay, great. So here's the video. Tell him to tie his shoelaces, come on.
Somebody step
I
on
have
his
another point.
shoelaces. Somebody step on his shoelaces.
I have another point to make here, though. I'll say after the video.
Yes, guys.
I do feel that at some point of time, you have to understand that what we are talking about and what age group we are dealing with is different from what he is at. Even though we understand that it's a choice that a child has to make, or a person has to make, whether to tie shoelaces or not, but I feel that it's my responsibility as a teacher to help my student, my learner, my child understand that it's important to tie laces because of A, B, C, D reasons, and then help him understand it through a way which could be different. Either tell him or preach or make him experience. That's different, but it's important to pass on that value because then it'll be.
If I may also just add, Vishwas, sorry, Bindu here.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
add
so
because I'm
this is about shoelaces, but it is about many other things also. So my child also plays football, and I've seen these tons of kids, like 12 of them, 15 of them together. I'm talking about 5 to 8-year-olds, who actually run around without their shoelaces being tied. Many of them don't fall across that one. Many of them trip and fall. And we are mothers screaming, saying, tie your lace, tie your lace. Half of the time the sir is tying their lace and how them tell like, just go to hell, you fall and then you'll learn. But they're not learning. And sometimes it actually leads to a very bad accident where they fall over someone else and they trip and they hurt. I don't know whether they learn out of it. And this is just one of the examples, right? There are so many other things, don't run when the floor is wet. So how do you actually transfer the value? Yeah, like what you were saying.
Do you think it happened because of the shoelace?
It's because they're careless. About the shoelace also.
Now you're going into even a bigger room.
I know. I mean, it is about them not accept. I don't know why is it that, they repeat the same mistakes. Like they have got hurt. They know they'll fall, but they just want to do it.
Oh, I think this is going to become a 16 weekend session. Okay, here's what I'm going to do.
Vishwas, I have a point. Sorry, I have a point. What about the safety that is in the hands of the facilitator or the teacher?
Exactly,
The safety of a child.
Okay.
How do you hold yourself accountable if
I agree with Zen.
Gets an accident?
Okay.
Totally with Zen.
I have two boys. Okay. My father is a doctor. There was only one message he gave me. And I find that really interesting. He said, look, just carry your first aid kit wherever you go. And I'm saying, wow, that was incredible. What was he saying through that? And the message was this: you can ask them to tie their shoelaces as much as you want, and all of us who've been parents and have children know that we've told our children that every day when they went to school. Are your children that stupid? And my question is it possible? I'm asking you to consider whether they became stupid because of us. So the shoelace analogy is just one. The point I'm trying to make here is look at how insistent you are on that child tying the shoelace. It's making you so uncomfortable sitting in that chair. And you're only imagining the shoelaces at this point in time. We will come to it later. But amply demonstrated, that is the box. And I've asked a lot of these people, okay, hey, you keep telling children to tie their shoelaces. Have you tried it? No. Why? Because I'll fall. I said, do you want to try it now? You're like 99 years old. Do you want to try it before you die? Risk it once. No, I will fall. Who told you this? My mummy. Arey yaar, come on. Can we just give it a go, Wear knee pads and shin pads and a helmet and whatever, and then you go and play soccer with untied shoelaces and see if you fall. On one condition, if you don't fall, you will never tell any kid anywhere on this planet ever to tie their shoelaces, because it's not true anymore. Now, the shoelace is only an analogy. I'm asking you to consider the number of things we say out of that box that we're just playing inside. What if on a particular day, starting at 8 o'clock today, you notice something and you don't say anything? And just watch yourself. This is not about the kid, man. This is not about the kid. This is about us. This is about how we are dealing with the world. My mother told me, so I'm telling my child. My teacher told me, so I'm going to teach that way. My manager did that and that it worked, so I'm going to make it work. But did you ask yourself, is there another way?
Can I say something, please?
You can say something and then we'll move on. Because this is a long one.
I'm still very uncomfortable with the whole idea of shoelace. Maybe there's some other example that you can present. Because as a teacher, I have figured out ways, Vishwas, to make children tie shoelaces that wouldn't open all day. Like I've done that too.
You're still with the shoelace and I'm saying move away from the shoelace. It's the idea. It's not about shoelaces. It's about what you've already transferred your conditioning to that kid. There's nothing real about anybody falling with untied shoelaces. You know what? Go to the average school and see the number of kids who walk around with untied shoelaces. And the only time that they might fall is when somebody else steps on them. But like I said, the point I'm making here is you're just transferring your old stuff to somebody else. And the thing is, we don't even know if it's true for us. We've never walked out of home in our adult life with untied shoelaces. And then Maradona goes and does it on that damn screen. Brilliant, no? Okay. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to do an activity. Okay? So Can they find themselves in breakout rooms by the time they come back?
Sure.
Okay, when you get back, you'll be in breakout rooms.
But I need to send that mail.
Ah, okay. Right. Take a break. Come back. We'll set it up till then. We're going to have an activity. Bye. Okay, you ready to play? Right. So here are the instructions. What you will get a URL, and what you have to do, it's a bunch of words. And what you have to do is to arrange those words in a circle so that each word can be connected to another. So it's connected on both sides. You will get what I mean once you see it, and it has to form a circle of words. Okay? Right. Have fun. You've got...
whichever breakout room they're in, they'll have to click on that.
Yeah. So whichever breakout room you find yourself in, please click on that URL.
How do you know which breakout room you are in?
You will know.
When the breakout room is created, you'll be in them. So if you want, just copy this whatever's in the message and keep, so that when you go to your breakout room, you'll know which breakout room you're in.
In the chat section also, we've sent you that.
Okay.
Okay, open.
Yep. Okay. So who's got the answer?
We didn't.
We all have.
Room 1? Or any room. Just tell me which room you're in. So yeah. Ananya, if you're speaking, then you need to put your mic.
Okay. Yeah, room 7. Breakout room 7. Bharat, Rishav and Rekha. We
Okay.
over there.
Give it.
Okay, so starting from the clockwise, back, up, hill, side, brace, long, horse, back. So that's how we...
So give me the words. Give me the words. Back up.
Back up.
Huh?
And, hillside, brace, long. Okay,
Back up.
Back up.
Up what?
Up, hill.
Okay.
Then hillside.
Okay.
Then side brace. I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah. Side
Okay, so question mark.
brace, long, and a long horse and a horse back. We tried.
I'm sure you did. Good. Anybody else got a different one?
Yeah, Natalia can. So it was me, Natalia, and so Natalia can tell it for us.
Okay.
Yeah. So ours is horseback, horse side, upside, uphill, long hill, long brace, and back brace.
You can use each word only once, one before and one after, right? I'm hearing.
Yeah, so we flip the sequence of the words.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so the answer is no.
Sure.
Anybody else got a different version?
We don't have a different version as from room number 4, breakout 4.
Okay.
But I feel like by the time we got the hang of let's just do and have fun with it, our time was up.
Good. Did you have fun?
We had fun.
Brilliant. Rule number 1 about activities. No activity is supposed to finish, or very rarely finishes. But if you got something from that conversation, what did you get?
Well, we were thinking, I think Zen and everybody else will also join in, Nisha, everybody else. We're thinking we didn't have to, the sentence, we could make up a sentence with the whole thing, Why are we sticking to one thing? Why can't we have fun with it? We were just trying different things, and then we saw the the 60 seconds.
Brilliant. And sometimes that happens too. It's
So
like,
we
I
had
think we
another
should have
one.
read the objective repeatedly before jumping into the action. I mean, this is what normally has been happening, and it happened with us also.
see, as educators, we can do that, and then and the same thing happens to us, and somewhere we've got to find that kindness for our audiences as well, because we are the same.
He's talking to me.
Okay, so here's the right answer.
Oh, we had another one. We had another one. Please, please, please.
Did you just create it?
No. We created this one there itself. So
Okay.
it says, it started from back, and we said brace up horse, long hillside.
Back, and then what's the
Brace
word?
up horse. So after back, the next word was brace up horse, long hillside. So how we tried to make sense of it was we were looking for the adjectives that were coming with the horse and with the hillside.
Oh, so you took it to a different place altogether. Okay, cool. Here's the answer. Back brace. Brace up, uphill, hillside, sidelong, long horse, horseback. Okay? Great. So, so here's what I gave the same instructions and the activity to everybody, right? And look at the variety that turned up. What does it tell you? So move away from the activity itself. What does it tell us as educators?
Repetition doesn't matter.
Or doesn't, oh, you can repeat and they'll hear the same thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, the dynamics will be different every time.
Creativity.
Okay.
Creativity.
We all think differently.
Yes.
Yes. Each one interprets a situation according to their own perspective.
Right. So we have different interpretations.
Yeah. Different approaches to different people.
Right. What else? So here's the irony of it. When we are in a classroom and we are teaching math or history or whatever it is that we do, if you have 30 children in the classroom, you've got potentially 30 different interpretations. But we want only one answer in the exam. Yeah? Okay. Let's move on. Right. I want to move to another piece, and this is going to be...
Excuse me, Vishwas. This creativity. Hello.
Yes,
Can you
yes.
hear me? While I agree with this idea of each one has a different answer, but there is something that the children and the teachers are bound by the boards and the syllabus where they look for the right answer.
Sure.
So how does one explain that?
I don't.
So how far are we from the reality to the, I understand, I believe in the learning. I'm not doubting that.
Yeah.
But at a point when we are encouraging children to think differently, they are not all going to arrive at the same answer, and they are not going to get the marks which the system pushes you into.
Okay, so here's my quick and dirty answer. I'm going to talk about it more when I cover classroom scenarios and looking at content and how to deliver it and so on and so forth. So I taught 7th grade geography for a year. I'm going to give you just the big pieces, and I won't get into a discussion at this point in time, but I'll try and answer your question. Throw away the textbook in the first 2 weeks. We created our own content. Children created it. They studied it. They created the question papers. They wrote their answers. And by the end of the year, we all realized that they'd learned about if the content that they were supposed to learn was out of 10, okay, 4 pieces, they had learned 10 pieces. They knew a lot more and understood a lot more than what was expected from the curriculum. And here's where that whole trust the process comes alive. We get, as educators, we get caught in getting them to give the right answer more than getting them to think about it and learn how to learn. Does that make sense? Okay. So here's how I want you to look at this and tell me what this is saying. Can you see my screen? Yeah. What do you think this is?
A pattern?
We're talking classrooms now.
A day in the life of a child at school. A
Cheater.
student life.
Where did you pick that up? Who gave you the right answer? Yeah.
Right, that were online.
You're absolutely right. This is a day in the life of a student. Teacher comes in, starts something, stops something. Another teacher comes in, starts something, stops something. And this is what goes on all through the day. And you're talking of 40-minute classes where the first 5 minutes and last 5 minutes are gone anyway. And we're supposed to cover content for this. So, look, I'm not trying to trash the system. What I am, although I'd love to, but what I am saying is this, that it is a self-defeating system. Okay? Now, what if this is just a thought that's jumped into my head right now. I'm not going to qualify it. When this happened to me, this is the first thing I did. I said, I want an 80-minute block time with children. They gave it to me. Okay? And it turned out to be far different. In another school, when we did this, we said 2 teachers will teach the entire class all through the year, all subjects, morning to evening, 5 days a week, the whole year. It just changed everything. Everything. Okay. Now, just using the shoelace problem. We want them to tie their shoelaces before they fall. Start, stop, start, stop. You know what I'm saying? There's a start, stop there as well. We want our children to have green veggies. We want them to eat every meal in that given time, whether they're hungry or not, because it's time to eat. But we're all different, folks. We're different. You've probably seen this, right? Please read that text, it's really important. So beautifully put, no? And so true. I mean, next time you encounter some kid who's finished the exam and got their results, please think about what question you're asking them. What is the box question?
How was the exam?
How much marks did they get?
How did you do?
Damn. I can assure you I have struggled with it as well. Because and for me, at that moment, in that here and now, and that's what I'm talking about, consciousness coming alive, that what am I by asking that particular question, I'm bringing alive the same damn thing again and again with that child. And that's true with not just exams and marks. It's with somebody who's grieving over a loss. Same thing. Somebody who's got somebody at home who's probably, got corona. Same damn questions. I want to constantly catch myself. What am I doing? What's this box question? And what can I ask that can be relevant in that moment for them and me? How can I come alive to that moment? Because God knows they've been asked that question again and again. A week ago, my father, who's 91, had a heart attack. The guy has lived a rich life, okay? And he went through, they're all frozen. Oh, okay. And he's had a rich life. He went to the hospital. He said, look, you know what? I don't want to die in the bed. So just make my life manageable with what's left. Anyway, he got a stent. He's come home. My mother, she's 86. Her biggest cause of anxiety was not her husband's condition. It was the anxiety of receiving calls and having to hear the same thing again and again. Let's look at what we do a little differently and come alive to that here and now, that moment when that kid who's whatever marks he's got, who cares? Stop making it a life-defining moment that they got 99.99%. Damn it.
I have a question, Vishwas.
Yeah.
So, for example, I mean, I've seen getting all sorts of, high numbers and high percentiles and stuff. So I was just thinking that, if we don't appreciate that, or, if there is, especially from the parents, that even I felt, at times, that I have achieved something, but my parents are not appreciating it as much as I would expect them to. So how do you?
You've been taught to be appreciated in that way already. See.
Yeah, but the child might not understand that, right? That because I'm talking about it, I'm appreciating your.
We are all children in this room.
Also, I feel the idea of achievement is also the child's conditioning. So when we say that what a child can understand or might not understand, I feel it also comes from, I can say that about myself, that, I've really been trying to reflect on my idea of achievement and what I have seen growing up as achievement around me and my family, my cousins, my friends. So I feel that a child's understanding of what could be achievement and how it needs to be appreciated or acknowledged is also conditioning.
And it's, as educators, I think from here on our job is to break that paradigm. First for ourselves. Just think of, at this point in time, think about how many different ways you can find to appreciate if you want to, but stay away from that marks story. The problem is we appreciate the marks all year long. When you were slogging away, that's what you were supposed to do. We don't appreciate that. We just appreciate the marks. And I think that is the problem. I'm just asking you to consider it, okay? Because if we play in that box or that paradigm, as they call it, a set bunch of thoughts, then we are doing the same thing. That's all my proposal. Consider it. Okay, let's move on. Woo! So what do we really need to teach our children? Okay, I'm going to leave some things for you to, we're kind of running out of time, so I'm going to leave some stuff for you to go through. So, what do you think your answer is here? Shake your head vigorously one way or another.
No.
No.
The whole screen is shaking, man. Okay, great. So fine, we're in the same room. So here's an approach. Susan Kowalik has done some wonderful work in the context of brain-body learning. Okay, how do we get the brain and the body in sync so that learning happens in a more, I don't know, organic, natural way, whatever you want to call it. So this slide, I'm going to run through this. I'm not going to even allow you to read it. I want to take you to the 9 elements that are critical in creating the environment. We've been talking about safe environments. Here's how we can create safe environments in the classroom, any space that we are in. Here's the child, okay? Lives in an environment. We know that the head and the heart are critical in the learning process. What does that mean? That when we do something, when we teach something, content, transfer content, we do our worksheet. If we have not been able to build context of whatever that content is to their lives and made it meaningful for them, then we failed. Then they just look at it as algebra. Then they just look at history as a bunch of dates. They don't see Rani Lakshmi Bai or Shivaji or whoever else with swords in their hands riding these magnificent horses. All they see is a bunch of dates. Somewhere we've got to be able to connect that heady stuff that we're delivering to the heart. My attempt today in trying to make it meaningful was the shoelace problem. And I can assure you that that's going to stay with you for a while. And when you come up with a solution, that's going to be your journaling this time. Please give me an answer. Okay? Right. So select topics that interest students and have the power to help them understand and influence their world. Their world. It must have context. Context. 3 words that I'll be using over and over again. Content, which we all know what it means. Concept, what's the underlying principle? And context, how is it going to be meaningful in their lives? I did a workshop for teachers and I made them sit in the same place for 3 hours, deliberately, by plan. They were finished at the end of it. They almost asked me to go home. I said, this is what you get your children to do, and it's not just 3 hours, it is 6 hours. How is it fair? We've got to get, and just remember one thing, even if it's a shake in the chair, sometimes that brings about circulation as well. Banging the table. I don't know, bang your head. My head sounds good. I don't know about yours. I don't think your head will make that kind of noise. It's empty, see? Each time I conduct a session, I'll let some of that stuff go. So, movement enhances learning.
Vishwas, can I ask a quick question over here?
Make it quick, Sandesh.
Okay. When you say under meaningful content, when you say that select topics that interest the students,
yeah,
sometimes you don't have a choice.
No, you do.
Already there. I mean, you have no choice but to teach them whether they like it or not. as trainers, you don't have a choice.
Hey, you're below the line, my friend. My geography class, I walked in and I said, what do you want to learn about the planet? The question you ask is critical to the outcome. It's really important. If you say, okay, we're going to learn geography, now what do you want to learn? Damn, you've already lost it. That makes sense? Our questions are really important. Okay, here's a quote, beautiful quote that affected me deeply and has been for years. I forget the guy's name. Anyway, he says, the language we use creates our reality. Ben Okri, I think that's where I picked it up.
Can you repeat it, please?
The language we use creates our reality. Check out the reality of your classroom or your home or wherever else you want to, whatever makes you feel safe. Check out the reality and then think about, okay, which part of my language is creating that? Because I'm telling you it is. If I'm angry, I'm going to have an angry home. If I'm depressed, I'm going to have a depressed home. We bring that presence into that space. Don't ever forget it. I've talked about it before. I'm saying it again. So let's be a little conscious about who's walking into that room, who's walking into that conversation. Okay. So get some movement into your classroom. Sandesh, I hope you're not going to give me the same pushback. I don't have choices. Of course you have choices. We just have to kind of get to that place where you say, hey, that's my choice. This is what I could do. Have we talked about get to and how to? No? No? Yes, no, maybe?
No, we haven't.
Okay, here's a simple formula. And so there are two elements in anything that we educate people on. Whether it's our children or whoever, okay, context is everywhere. There's a place you want to get to. And that get to can be described as, okay, I want to finish this portion, that chapter, this topic, whatever it is. And then there's a process, a how to. So when I did my geography class, I said, okay, you know what? I'm here for a reason. And you're here for a reason. Apart from that, we can have a ball. So the get to is rediscovering the physical features of our planet. Now you decide how you're going to find out. So I chose the get to. If I choose the get to, I get them to choose the how to, the process. If I choose the process, or if I tell them, okay, what is it you want to learn, which means they're defining their get to, then I take on the responsibility of the how. And I tell you something, when we do the curriculum piece and I break it up for you, because I'll be doing this just to teach a particular subject, I looked at the entire, all the other textbooks to find out, okay, what are they teaching in history, in math, in civics, in social sciences, in pure sciences, what are they teaching? Because surely there's somebody who thought this up, made some connections somewhere. And the problem is that the education system has broken life up into subjects. And then teachers break it up into topics, and then we destroy the whole thing. So get to, how to. Next time you're thinking of something, even if it's with a conversation with your son, your daughter, your partner, your parents, what are you going to decide? What are you going to transfer responsibility of? So I want to buy a refrigerator. If that's the get to, then you can decide the size, the volume, the place, the color, whatever else comes into it. Okay, so choices are a brilliant way of being able to empower our classrooms. I know all your teacher mindsets are saying, but there isn't enough time. You know why? Because your get to is covering content. But if you, so this is what it also means. We all know that each one of you, I mean, I asked you to do that word cloud and I said, where are you right now? How are you feeling? And we found some 50 words there. Can you imagine what it is like in a regular classroom where there are different levels of understanding? So these children are at different levels already. And we are trying to teach one thing in one particular way, and somewhere we've defined what normal is. And then we go about that in that particular way. There are a number of strategies you can use. One of them is called differentiated learning, to address different learning styles as well. Why can't we do that? Why can't we make that choice? You know why? Most people tell me that the principal has said that your children must be seated in their seats when you are in the class, when you walk into the classroom. And they must stay like that till you leave. Otherwise, you will have, oh God, then you'll have an unruly classroom. The number of teachers who've said, please teach me something about classroom management. And my only answer is, the problem is that you're trying to manage it. And what we've converted manage to lean to mean is control. Then there's only one way. You shut up and sit there and listen to me for the rest of your life. Or whatever. Parenting also, same story. Sit at the table, don't drop any food, use a bib. I don't know, use a fork, spoon, knife, finger. What? What's up with us, man? With those boxes, those walls of the boxes are so strong. Please begin to experiment with some of this stuff. I'll guarantee you one thing, it won't destroy your life nor that child's life. The most it can do is upset you and make the kid really happy. I'm serious. You're the one who's going to get upset. And if you don't, brilliant. You will discover something really valuable. So don't come back to me for the next class without having at least a couple of these let go moments. When you catch yourself in that consciousness and you say, damn it, my box is talking. I'm going to throw that box away. And give them time for it, for God's sake. Dinner is not a 21-minute deal. My younger son, any idea how long he took when he was little to have a meal? Take a guess. Just point fingers.
3 hours.
Cheater, somebody knows the answer. 3
Yeah.
hours is right.
No, I don't. I just guessed it because I used to too.
There you go. See? And you want your children to finish in, I mean, I don't know if you have children, I apologize. But if you
No, no.
do,
I am a teacher basically, so that's why I'm here. But then
right,
we do
those
not
two-
follow this curriculum. We differentiate a lot, so it's very different from our Indian structured curriculum so far.
now think about what you are asking them to finish in how much time. So what adequate time means is adequate time for the child, not you. Okay, great.
There is something called wait time that we follow, that a child, when you pose a question, a child needs to think, and that's the wait time that a teacher needs to have, so that child has enough adequate time to think.
Are you
But
great? Teacher,
sorry,
wait.
yeah. Yeah, but I still don't agree with the shoelace thing. Just FYI.
Okay, that's okay, no problem. Write, it's going to be part of your journal, so you can write me, give me the right solution, because you know what? I'd love to know. Right. Now, we give these kids, I don't know if we do toys and books and, library, this place called the library, which is usually locked. Enrich their environment. If they have to find the simplest one is, if they have to find the meaning of a word, then have a dictionary close by. If they have to refer to some book, don't ask them to go to the library because, 20 minutes are gone. Have as much accessible in the corner of that room as possible. Just throw it around. It's amazing what kids do when they don't have to do what you tell them. So that's what enriched environment means. Keep some toys, keep some construction stuff that they can do with their hands. Learning in isolation is a myth. There is nothing that any of us have ever learned by ourselves. We've always learned something in the context of other people and things. Then why do we treat learning as an individual process? Can we make it collaborative? Because not only do they learn better, the perspective is far greater. We'll be talking about this, and I'll show you, I kind of talk about it. It's called an intervention. So a lot of people look at processing or reviewing or debriefing, whatever word comes to mind, that process of reflection, as let's do something, then let's talk about it. And we make that cycling. Right? There's no such thing. If you see them doing something, without judging it, can we just ask them a simple question? What are you doing? And that is a pause for that child to consider what they're doing. And no judgment here, right, wrong. It doesn't mean you have to catch them doing things wrong, only when they're doing things wrong. Why can we not catch them doing something right? And that's called immediate feedback. My son, his record was 8 hours with the Lego blocks when he was, 7 or 8 years old. And I'm talking about those really little blocks. So if he made a truck from 500 little blocks, it would be about that size. Eight hours, and I couldn't figure it out. He wouldn't get up. On that day, he had to be fed, and it was okay. What was he doing? He put a block. Now this is how we all know it happens, but we just don't allow it to happen to anybody else. He'd take a block, take another block, he'd put it on there. And he'd go through that process repeatedly over and over again. And while he was doing this, not only was he pressing it tight because he wanted a nice, neat truck, he was also looking at what color he was putting. And if in his mind, if the color didn't match, he would take that out and he'd take another one and put it there. That's immediate feedback. And the thing is, the act of play was giving him immediate feedback. Your journaling is immediate feedback. You leave class, you walk into the next room and somebody is going through a huge battle about something, and you listen to it and you say, wow. You're not part of the battle yet, so your emotions haven't been triggered yet, but you're listening to it and something happens to you and you say, hey, in class, this is what was spoken about. Immediate feedback. So this act of discovering something, finding its application, and maybe not immediately, but making the connections, reflecting this cyclic thing is an incredible process. I have read it in your journals. That's what you're doing. 1 week, you get an opportunity for all the experiences of life, and I'll guarantee you one thing. Every principle we've talked about in this classroom so far has found application. You may not have seen it. These principles are not separate from life, they arrive from life. So look for it everywhere, anywhere, and you will find them. And as you practice it, you will get immediate feedback. It's really critical. Now, what is not immediate feedback? I give a spelling test on Tuesday and return the books on Saturday. And of course, there's a whole bunch of red in that notebook. But if I can catch a kid who's writing it and say, hey, take a look at that again. What do you notice? You mean this? And they'll try and get the answer from you, and you can play that game with them and they'll find it. And then they will know when it's okay because they've seen it somewhere. And that's immediate feedback. Okay. And of course, the most beautiful piece in this whole thing, what I didn't realize was, and this is the word that this model gave me when my son was playing with the blocks, he was building mastery. What does that mean? So engaged that the immediate feedback, he learned from it. And he got better at it. And he created more complex stuff. We've talked about flow. Yeah, I was thinking, some of you are probably saying it in your head, yeah, that's flow, that state of flow. Okay. Get as many of these things as you can within your home, within your classroom, whatever it is that you do with people. Get as many as you can. You don't have to have all of them because this is a long-term project, right? This is like life. But if we can get as many as possible, I think the chances of learning happening are much greater. I've blown your brains enough. There's one last piece that I need you to do. It's a reflective piece. We are halfway through the course. And I'm sending you a URL. Please spend a few minutes with it. And the question is, Yeah, the question is, at the end of 4 sessions, which image expresses your experience so far? And you can see that there is a place for comment. You can choose, theoretically, I mean, you can choose as many images as you want, but I'm saying, you know, choose not more than 3, not less than 1. That would be wonderful. And when you've done this, those of you who have left can do it later. Those of you who need to go, I'm saying bye, but I'm here. And yeah, that's it. It's in the chat and it's in the
Slack and in the
Slack and in the Zoom chat. This is compulsory. This is a way of reflecting, by the way. Review, debrief, whatever you call it. It's a compulsory way of getting people involved. Images are attractive. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. The brain is up. The reflection keeps it very
Shwas, how do I do this? I mean, I'm getting a little confused. On the Slack, I have that Padlet link. I click onto it and nothing appears on my Padlet.
Do you have a connectivity issue?
No. No, my internet is fine. Like I've opened my Padlet account also.
Okay, so do one thing. You want to try it on the computer because we put that in the chat as well. Anybody else having trouble with it?
Let me try this. Yeah, it works here. Okay.
Somewhere something will work. You just have to
But
try
then
it.
my name won't appear, right?
It should if you've got an account. If you don't want it to, that's fine. And your cat disagreed with you and walked away. If you're okay with giving your name, you can, and your name is not appearing there, you can write your name at the end of your message. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.